Oh, good luck to me, mate. Constitutional crisis.
Thank you. Very good of you to turn up in the morning. I hope you've had some tea or coffee or something of that sort. Thank you very much indeed. Doing well there.
You're actually going to postpone Brexit, Mr. Bercow.
Thank you very much. It's very good of you to turn up in the morning. But as I say,
crisis.
do you have some tea or coffee or something of that sort?
Oh, you put Brexit in doubt, Mr. Bercow. Why did you do this, Mr. Bercow? How would you explain to the public what you did, Mr. Bercow? Using a precedent from the 17th century? Why did you choose to do that, Mr. Bercow? Mr. Bercow, you said...
I really feel you ought to get yourself some coffee or tea. I did offer to buy you all coffee and tea, but you declined my kind offer. But you've obviously already drunk lots of coffee or tea, and I wish you well. It's a very, very impressive bobble hat you're wearing there, or perhaps not a bobble hat, but a hat of sorts. Anyway, I'm sure people are so very grateful to you for showing such an interest at this time of the morning.
People are very interested in the story, Mr. Bercow.
Very well done.
What next for Brexit, Mr. Bercow?
Perhaps, gentlemen, you'd allow me to work. Thank you, and I wish you a good day. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's an important ruling from the Speaker. He's raised the bar in terms of a third meaningful vote, and it's important that we give that due consideration, look at that ruling. We've got a discussion at Cabinet later this morning on this, but also the Speaker's made a number of rulings in this context, and it's important we look at them in the round. So there are a number of rulings that we need to look at, but it is the case that the Speaker's ruling yesterday raises the bar, and we need to see what is different as we approach the next vote. And clearly, if members of Parliament themselves are changing their vote, that does suggest that circumstances have changed. Well, the objective of the Prime Minister is to secure the deal and to have a short technical extension to allow for the ratification of that deal, because that is now inevitable. In terms of any longer extension, well, clearly that's only if the deal is not passed, and I think in that instance members of Parliament would need to answer to your viewers as to why 3 years after they voted to leave, the MPs are not acting on what many of them said they would do in their manifesto. And having an extension, even a long extension, without a clarity of purpose as to what it's for, is clearly not the way forward. What we should be doing is getting behind the Prime Minister's deal, because that is what the business community want in terms of certainty, and it's also what people voted for in the biggest ever vote in our country's history 3